Disclaimer, I'm a law student, and the legal information provided is not legal advice. For that, please hire an attorney. Contra team. All right. Doing Contra. All right. We're doing Contra. All right. So let's go ahead and bring up. I'm just gonna use Xander Hall's video because Xander Hall got like basically the same little quote that I want to talk about and the same thing from Twitter, right? I saw it in a very different way that he did, though. Let's see. This is where we've come to, fam. We're reacting to a reactor, reacting to content. We're like several layers of reaction in. It is reactionception. This is what we've come to. But it's fine. It's fun. It's all in good fun. Right? So let's see. So effectively where we find ourselves is we find ourselves with this kind of tweet, right? So where we find ourselves is a tweet by this person named Kylie. And I'll just read it. I'm not going to characterize it beyond what Xander Hall has done. //CW, transphobia. Show me proof that Contrapoints was being transphobic instead of taking an hour-long video out of context. Hi, here's your proof. Feel free to disregard that, though, through and argue in the replies over someone's disgusting, bigoted comments because you like them.
Somehow this is context. Let's go ahead and watch this video and see if it's problematic. I'm ready.
Nothing has ever triggered this kind of in-group embarrassment more for me than a Cringe video that went viral last year, in which a masculine trans woman throws a tantrum over being misgendered in a GameStop.
You're gonna give me my fucking money back.
Excuse me, sir. There's a young man in here.
Excuse me, it's ma'am. It is ma'am.
This video is excruciating for me to watch.
Motherfucker, take it outside. If you want to call me sir again, I will show you a fucking sir. I apologize. Motherfucker. I apologize now.
The paradoxical absurdity of trying to brutishly intimidate people into seeing you as a woman.
Ooh.
Now Twitter's gonna come for me over this and say Natalie hates trans women who don't.
She always.
Yeah, and Xander Hall appropriately recognized that. Like, she always calls it out, right? But yeah, this is basically the clip that people seem to sort of be losing it on. We already got it. We already got basically what I wanted to. So let's talk about this, right? Oh, and thank you for finding it. I'm so, again, like, next. All right, listen, we'll figure out how to get it so that you'll be able to send it to me easier. The best place is probably at this point my Discord, which there's a link below, so totally join if you haven't. But the main point I want to talk about with this video. Now, Xander Hall goes on to make an argument, and, you know, that argument is all well and good, and I don't want to take words out of his mouth, so you can go and watch it yourself. I want to address probably the best faith kind of interpretation of this person's argument, or at least the sentiment, right? The way that I see it, right? Like, if you're trying to, and again, maybe I'm pulling a Mo Stebbings here. I'm going to ascribe the most charitability to people who criticize ContraPoints and then respond to that type of a criticism. All right? Because, like, when we're talking about, like, people, all right, so, like, I had a conversation the other day with Zoomer Nation where there's a lot of people, like, there's a lot of different factions on the left, right? Or, like, little different subgroups. And one of them, people, like, again, like, and this is sometimes, like, some people consider to, like, be a negative term or, like, a negative way to put this. But there are some people who would be called woke scolds or wokelets, right? And this is who I think, like, Xander Hall, I can't remember if he specifically refers to this person as a woke scold or a wokelet. Like, I can't remember from the video, but, like, that's what probably people from his point of view would describe these people as, right? I think that there's some truth to the idea that there are people on the left who just want to see larger content creators burn, right? Because of some personal grievance. I think that there's probably some truth to that, but I don't want that to obfuscate the inherent point, like any inherent truth that does reside in their arguments, right? Like I do want to respond to them. And I think that the most charitable, good faith way to take this person's tweet is to say that this is very similar to like a Martin Luther King Jr. white moderate take, right? Where it's a criticism against Contra for trying to promote something like respectability politics. Given the context in this video, it can seem a lot like Contra is trying to promote this idea that, well, if you want to demand like certain types of privileges or you want to demand certain rights or recognition that would be expected or given to the average person, then you have to be a good little soldier and you have to not speak up or be so brutish, right? I think that's one way that a person could reasonably string this criticism and actually be operating from a position of like decently good faith, right? I can see that. The problem here, and again, like this is a very nuanced discussion, because I don't think that this is all black and white. Ultimately, I think I do, like ultimately I will say like right here, just to put a clarification, I like the majority of this video. I think it's good. I think it has a lot of really good points. You should watch it, like, subscribe, all that. All right. I think that it's largely like a really good piece in that she did a wonderful job. And Natalie, like, please date me. No, but we are both in Baltimore, so like hit me up sometime. But anyway, enough standing for Contra so she dates me. Anyway, so the point though is that like I think that this is one way where you could string this line of thought, where you could string this kind of criticism where it actually is coming from a place of genuine concern, right? Because to someone who isn't picking up on a little bit more of the nuance, I think it does sound a little bit like, hey, you need to not be so angry and so demanding of rights and to be recognized for who you are from this other person, from this stranger, right? I can get that. No shame. I can get that feeling if you're watching this, right? Like, I think that's not an unreasonable take from the video. The problem with that take is, or at least this is the problem that I would have with it, is that here I would draw a distinction between, let's say, violent and non-violent protest, all right? In a lot of ways, we can think in, like, if we want to keep using MLK as, like, a person to talk about, we can talk about, like, the difference between, say, MLK and, like, Malcolm X, right? Where they both fundamentally had the same kind of ideas, but had different ways for affecting them. Malcolm X was like, yeah, violence is fine in order to affect, you know, meaningful social change. Like, people aren't going to listen otherwise. I think that's I think that's understandable. I see a lot of similarities between his beliefs and, say, like, Antifa nowadays. And, like, I'm not going to morally impugn that, right? I think that it's not as effective, though. And the reason why is because at the end of the day, whenever you use violence, and this is the reason why I have, not grievances with Antifa, I don't know. I shouldn't say anything about them because otherwise it'll be used against me until the end of time in any possible political career. So I'm not going to say much about it at all. I apologize. But understand, generally speaking, that if you use violence as a way to meaningfully affect change socially, even if it is justified, even if it is totally justified, it will be weaponized against you. And that's sort of what happened here, where the person, I think, had, like, a reasonable grievance against this store clerk, where, you know, for not for misgendering her, right? Like, I think that there's a very reasonable grievance, and I think that a lot of us who are trans can completely sympathize with that. But there's a good way to go about doing that. And that doesn't mean just, like, being respectable and being a good little girl and, you know, doing everything that you're told and not complaining or raising your voice, but raising your voice in a way which won't be taken, which won't be construed by people to be violent, to be used against you, right? I want to make sure that, because I mean, like, I'm totally fine. Like, I've gotten involved in, like, protests before, and I've been, like, I've done that, right? Like, I did that a lot when I was in Memphis, and I've done that a lot at various places throughout the country. Like, I've been there. I've done that shit, right? And it's a great way to meaningfully affect change. We just have to be careful. Like, we just have to be careful, especially since we're operating from a place of minority status in society, that we make sure that we don't do it in such a way which will be weaponized against us. This is not to say, again, like heavy caveat. This is not to say that we should just pull the white moderate and just try to be as respectable and do whatever and just do what we're told, right? That's not what I'm saying. All right, this is sort of where the nuance comes into the discussion. What I am saying right now is that we need to make sure that we are affecting change, that we are protesting, that we are engaging in civil advocacy in such a way which is both effective as far as being able to accomplish our goals and which won't be used against us and won't be counterintuitive to our actions. That's all, right? If we want to talk about Antifa, and mind you, for people who are going to be coming through my content in the future, when I do run for political office, this is not an endorsement of Antifa. So do with that what you will. One thing that I really liked recently was that, I can't remember the context of the article, but there was like a Antifa syndicate that was being discussed. I can't remember where or the specifics, so other people can drudge it up after me. But there was like conversations about an Antifa syndicate. I think that Vosh was talking with someone about this, right? Where they had actually infiltrated a far-right group and organization and had gotten like enough information about them to be able to expose like their fascist or far-right leanings, right? That is so awesome, right? And it's so meaningful. Yeah, based as fuck, right? No, like that's the whole point, right? Is that like it's both nonviolent, like it can't be used against them, and it's so effective at like getting the change that you want. It's such a great way to operate, and that's just thinking the step ahead to make sure that you're able to accomplish not only the goals that you want to seek, but that you're making sure to do so in such a way that won't harm your cause or the rest of the people in your cause, right? That's the main thing. So with the ContraPoints video, there's a lot of really good about it. The only other thing, no, mind you, that's one criticism that I wanted to address with this video. There's actually one other that I want to talk about real quick. And it's the fact that, oh my God, I didn't even realize this. So I'm not going to bring up the specific clip because I didn't look it up before time because I'm lazy. I'm sorry. Or I'm at least, I was focusing on talking with Mo. One other thing that I want to be like, this is actually like this. So whereas before that was defensive ContraPoints, this is an overt criticism. All right. And Contra, if you're watching this, don't hate me. Please hate me still. But anyway, so the important point of this is that there was something where I feel like she definitely could have easily fixed like a small issue that she had later on. And my issue, and this isn't something that's being talked about a lot with other people, but something which is very acute to me, is the fact that at a certain point in the video, she had a clip where this was at the point in the discussion where she was talking about Rose of Dawn, right? Where she was talking about all the examples where Rose of Dawn was just like, I think that the like basically obsessing over the person that they were talking about, right? There was one point where they played a clip where it was Rose of Dawn in a stream call with Blair White and another person who wasn't talked about directly in the video. And that person was Transbra, was Mars. Even though he only was featured in the video for a whole of a couple seconds, it was enough for him to literally less than a couple hours later go out and make an entire video about the fact that he was mentioned in a ContraPoints vid. And just to hammer the point of how popular this video has gotten, it's literally the first recommended video in my stream chat, or in my recommended feed. It's literally the first one there. I didn't even plan for that. And it already has 2,500 views for a channel with less than 1,000 subscribers. I'm not watching it. Don't watch it. Don't give him the time. Don't give him the viewer. Don't give him the viewership. Don't make him bigger. But he's also, I think, grown 200 subscribers, 1 to 200 subscribers over the past couple days. Yeah. That's a problem, not with necessarily the argument that she made, but the way that she did it. because, and of course, like, she's such a big creator that this probably does not affect her. And like, you know, I don't think that she would necessarily think about this in like the post-editing process, but I need people to understand. If we learned anything from the past presidential election, any publicity is good publicity, okay? Anytime you're able to expose yourself, anytime you're able to make yourself more well-known, and I might be contributing to this as well. I might very well be contributing to that problem right now, so if people want to criticize me for that, then I think that's absolutely fair to do in this context, but I want to talk about it so that we don't make the same mistake again. When we are making content, and especially when we are considering who to criticize, we always need to remember how YouTube, how social media works, and what the consequences are of how we present our arguments, who we reference, who we give a platform to. By virtue of just referencing this person for 10 seconds in her video, he's gotten so much more exposure that he just would not have gotten otherwise, right? And this was such an easy thing for her to fix. She could have literally just like cut him out of the frame, and that would have been it. That would have just like solved the issue. But she didn't. And it's like such an easy thing, and he wasn't even a part of the argument, and he didn't need to be there to begin with. Like, he was completely irrelevant, to the discussion that she was having. This was just a fuck up. And to her, it's not going to seem like a big fuck up. But when you're talking about someone who, mind you, earlier in the same stream, we had also talked about literally platforms transphobia and platforms people like Blair White, like Rose of Dawn, like other transmedicalists or true scum or whatever on this channel. Like, when you have someone like that, it is not a good thing to platform them. All right? It is not a good thing. Or if you are, and this is a big if, because I engage in this too, if you are, to make sure that you are overtly critical of them, to make sure that if other people are exposed to their content, then they're done so by putting a giant warning label on the cigarette package, right? That's something that is essential to be done, because otherwise you are just introducing a massive amount of people. And again, maybe it's only like 1% of the people who watch her. Maybe it's only like 1%. Well, how many views does she have? Actually, you know what? Hold on. We don't even have to guess. Let's just take a guess. Okay. I want people in chat to guess. I want people in chat to guess before I show it. How many views do you think that her video already has? How many views do you think that her newest video already has? Like, take a guess, type it in chat, do whatever you want. I'm going to show it in 3, 2, 1. Over 1 million views. Over 1 million. Let's do some quick maths. What's 1 million times 1%? If literally just 1% of her audience went and watched Mars's content because of this, that would be an additional 10,000 fucking views. 10,000. Like, when we're talking about someone that's with as large a platform as this, like, shit's real. Shit's incredibly real. So, like, yeah, this is not a good play, Natalie. And it sucks because the rest of the video is honestly really good. And I really liked it. And I really wanted to be a part of it. Please, someday. But this is a problem. And there's nothing that can be done about it right now. I think that bringing more attention to it beyond this is only going to be counterintuitive. So I just want you to be aware, if you ever do happen to watch this, like, if you do, and again, that's a big if, I know that you're a busy person, but like, be more careful about this kind of stuff, okay? Like, this is a really, like, it's a decently substantive problem, especially when you consider the fact that, like, this also has to do with the problem of opportunity cost. Not only did you end up giving someone with very bad ideas a platform, but you did that at the opportunity cost of not giving other people a platform. He's someone who's just like a couple hundred subscribers behind me, and I would be willing, I'm just gonna like talk myself up here, but this could apply to other people as well. I would probably do better with those viewers, right? Actually advocating for like decent social ideas and whatever. It's just a lot of bad, right? Like, not only are you giving someone else who doesn't deserve it more viewership, like, either intentionally or otherwise. I shouldn't say that, like very unintentionally probably. But like it also comes at the opportunity cost of not including someone else there who probably does better deserve that viewership. Because you are a large creator. You literally have 1 million views on your video. Congrats. It's an awesome job. It's an awesome video. Please don't make that mistake in the future. That's all.